this mass murder in Texas, it has even gotten Greg Abbott to get a little bit concerned that maybe there's some interest in some form of gun control in this country. I mean, you saw it in the, what's her name? Megyn Kelly tweeting out the other day, the battle's over. Why can't we for the Second Amendment, why can't we get together and figure out what to do about this? This is an attempt by those who are Second Amendment maximalists, who believe that because a right-wing Supreme Court found in 2008 that there is an individual right to have a gun, that guns should be everywhere, ranging from people who have YouTube shows where they wear a gun to so-called normalize it, to the ammo-sexuals who say you can't talk about banning AR-15s if you don't know the caliber size of all the various semi-automatic weapons that are out there. They've created a gun culture. Put up this graph. This is the number of gun deaths in Texas since 2014 as our gun laws have been weakened. 1,600 more gun deaths in Texas alone than there was in 2014.
Like 50% more.
It's unreal. That's in less than a 10-year period, that increase, that line going up.
It's nuts. Here is Greg Abbott on Fox News, and he must be aware of also these polling numbers on desires for background checks, enforcing gun laws, et cetera, et cetera. At one point, I don't think we're there yet because of the enormous amount of money in terms of the gun lobby and the intensity of pro-gun ammo-sexual voters. But Greg Abbott's starting to get a little bit nervous.
Is he going to pardon this guy as well? Same.
Exactly.
Right?
Here we go.
As happens with these shootings, it almost immediately turns to the political conversation about gun reforms. One state senator pointing the finger.
Pause it for 1 second. Like, it's just, I've probably said this a million times. What else should we be talking about?
It's like saying, like, the question turns to, can we do anything about this?
Well, it's like, what else should we be talking about?
No, we're soaking wet, and then the conversation naturally turns to, can we find an umbrella somewhere?
Right. I mean, there is literally, at this point, this happens multiple times a week. What else could you be talking about? Turns political. It should immediately turn to the question of, what are we going to do about this as a society?
This is a political show.
But even like in a non-politics, like, what else would you what other conversation could there be at this point? Should we have hospitals? Yes, I think we've resolved that. Should we allow the dead to just be on the body? Or should the question be like, is it valid to shoot video of this? Like, I mean, there's no other conversation to be had at this point. There's no value in saying, feel bad for the people. It's been done a million times.
Let's perform being solemn.
It's completely like, there is no other. I don't even know what the possible other option could be. We're going to send sympathy to every mass shooting victim now that exists. People, that would be a full-time job for people.
Oh yeah. Well,
it would do nothing.
I mean, she's performing reluctance for a Republican governor on talking about, like, the exact issue that we should be talking about. I mean, that's what it is, right? Like, hey, I'm on your side, but I have to ask you this question.
Of course.
It's bullshit.
The amazing thing is that, like, that used to be a legitimate, like, point of argument. Now they're just almost exhausted as they say that because there's no other conversation literally to be had.
As happens with these shootings, it almost immediately turns to the political conversation about gun reforms. One state senator pointing the finger at you and the GOP there in Texas, saying there are loose and dangerous gun laws. I want to put up a poll that we just had on possible gun reforms here in the U.S. This is just out from Fox News. When you ask people what they would favor, background checks for guns, enforcing existing gun laws, legal age to 21, requiring mental health checks, flagging people for danger to self, all of those score at more than 80%. Are there things that you would consider in Texas or that you think Congress should consider at a federal level along those lines?
Well, on the federal level, as you know, some laws were passed last year to begin to address this. At the state level, listen, this is something that we've been grappling with over the past year. And there are some potential easy solutions, such as passing laws that we're working on right now to get guns out of the hands of dangerous criminals and to increase penalties for criminals who possess guns. But Shannon, we need to
pause it for a second. Was this, first off, this guy's been in office since 2014, and he's just now getting around to let's keep guns out of the hands of dangerous criminals.
Yeah, actually, there's easy things we can do. We just haven't done yet for some reason.
Well, I mean, it's just we've been working on that law. We'll have that out in about 2 weeks.
That's what the background check law is supposed to address. Exactly what she just put up on the screen.
But, just think about the idea of actually being able to go on to as governor, I've decided I'm going to go out on a limb and say dangerous criminals should not have guns. Really? Oh, okay. You would have thought that maybe you would have gotten to that a little bit earlier in your tenure. It's taken me 8 years to realize that dangerous criminals should not have guns.
Right.
And we're going to up the punishment on those dangerous criminals to have guns.
And dangerous and criminal doing a lot of work there, right? Because it's basically what Republicans decide they'll want to enforce. They want right-wingers to be as armed as possible.
Isn't Abbott the same guy who said, when we were talking about a total ban on abortion, he's and we're going to really now punish rapists.
Yes.
Sure you are.
We're going to end rape in the state. Before, we didn't really think it was a priority.
We were letting it go.
But now we're going to. I mean, that's the exact same thing. It's just, it's amazing to me how this guy is able to say this gobbledygook.
Bullshit.
And just total bullshit.
Get guns out of the hands of dangerous criminals and to increase penalties for criminals who possess guns. But Shannon, we need to recognize a reality. What we've seen across the United States over the past year or two, and that is an increased number of shootings in both red states and blue states. Shannon, we've seen an increased number of shootings in states with easy gun laws as well as states with very strict gun laws. I think that the state in which the largest number of victims have occurred this year is in California, where they have very tough gun laws where 11 people died. And so one thing that we can observe very easily, and that is there has been a dramatic increase in the amount of anger and violence that's taking place in America. And what Texas is doing in a big time way, we are working to address that anger and violence by going to its root cause, which is addressing the mental health problems behind it. We know that Texas had been lagging in addressing mental health for years, and that's why over the past 3 sessions, we've added almost $25 billion to address mental health. We're in the waning days of a session right now where we will be adding even more funding, about $3 billion, to address mental health needs in the state of Texas, especially in rural Texas.
All right, this is all just a gobbledygook. There is... just Google red states and blue states gun violence. You'll come up with 12 different articles in the next 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks.
Thank you, Greg Abbott, for making the case that federal gun laws are necessary because state laws are insufficient.
It's not even remotely close. First off, it's without a doubt the number. I'm sure it's rising in both blue and red states. Just I don't know. It's the starting point. Red states have far more gun violence, and then just as the guns leak out to other places, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. Did you do that? Did you Google that?
So you want me to Google it? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I want to just put it up there. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
And then this is also why we get incredibly frustrated about the mental health, just throwaway line
Yeah,
here.
just hit that hit that Forbes one. I mean, there.
There we go. But the right, there we go. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd say that,
the point is it's easy to find this. It's just absurd. It's just absurd.
How many ads does Forbes have on its website? But again, how much money? We're pouring a lot of money into mental health. What does that mean? What is it without socialized healthcare, without a public option? So you're giving, in many ways, probably just empowering law enforcement in some more way.
That's what I can't understand. Like we have all these mental health conversations in the country that still price discriminates for mental health care.
Yeah. Exactly right. So what else should we be talking about? They're obsessed with talking about everything that
You know what Texas has not said yes to in terms of like their health care? No Medicaid expansion.
Right. That might help.
I mean, give me a break. It's just such lies. It really is amazing. I hope that guy doesn't go on to any actual TV program and just stays on Fox, because otherwise somebody should roast him. Honestly, it's just absurd. It's absurd that they can get away with something like that.